Hey dudes, here's how to make marbles in Inkscape. So let's open Inkscape. So here we are in Inkscape. First, let's draw a circle. Go to the ellipse tool and hold Control, then click and drag to make a circle. Now, this is when you choose what color of your marble should be, and I want to make a clear marble with something in it. So I'm gonna change the color of this black circle into something more green because that's the color of usually glass. So I'm gonna choose this color. Now click to fill in stroke, then change the fill to a radial gradient by clicking here. As you can see, it looks weird, but let's change this gradient. While this is still selected, go to the gradient tool, click it, then click this button to reverse the gradient. As you can see, the marble looks weird, but not really like glass. So let's go back to the selection tool and change the opacity of it while you're still in the fill and stroke. Let's lower that opacity to make it look like glass, more glass-like. I'm gonna choose like 50 right there. That looks good. Then let's make that swirly thing inside of those marbles. Or I think they're called toothpaste. I'm not sure. Anyway, go to the Bezier Curves tool and let's make a swervy thing by clicking and hold Control. So I want to have a perfect vertical line, then click again. Then I want to go back to the starting point and click. Now let's make it actually swervy. Go to the Nodes tool and let's zoom in a bit. I'm gonna change this to something I like a swirly thing. Yeah, swirly thing. Just need to change it to like an S swirl. Let's make a S swirl. Okay. I want this to be thicker, so I want to make it more dimensional. I think this is good. Now let's change this swirl thing into something whatever you want. I'm gonna choose red because I feel like that's a proper color, I think. Let's make it a little darker. Brighter would be nice. Let's remove the border by holding Shift, then click the None in the color palette. Now, let's change this swirly thing to a little more a subtle gradient. Go to the fill and stroke and let's change this to this linear gradient. Now we are in linear gradient. While still in the Nodes tool, let's click this because I want this to be a different color but not transparent. So I'm gonna make the alpha like 100 again, and I'm gonna make it a little lighter or darker, whatever you want. I'm gonna choose lighter right there, and I'm gonna change this from this to this. Okay, I want it to be vertical instead of horizontal. Now go back to the selection tool, click here, and I want to duplicate this because I want it to give it more dimensionality. So Control D, now it's duplicated. Now let's change the color of this one to make contrast. Let's change the color of this to blue. Okay, now you can't see the red part, so we're gonna change the swirly thing into something thinner. So let's go back to the Node tool and let's change this to something smaller. It can be whatever shape you want, but I want it to look like a marble thing. Now let's change this to a little gradient as well. Go back to a linear gradient, click that, then let me edit this color. I'm gonna change it here, and I want it to be a little darker. There we go. Then I want it to be darker here, okay, and lighter here. Now select both of your swirlies, or you can add more stylings, whatever you want, but I'm gonna stay with these two swirls. So let's go zoom out a bit and drag it towards here, drag it to the center. It doesn't need to be perfectly centered, but yeah, I'm gonna resize it a bit. Now, I'm gonna group these swirlies into one thing, so Control G. Now, let's put this swirl at the back, so it looks like it's inside the marble. While the swirly is still inside, click here to lower the selection one step down, or just go full to the end. There we go. Okay, as you noticed, the colors don't seem right, so we're gonna edit a bit of the main marble itself. Okay, let's select the marble and let's change the opacity again. I'm gonna change the opacity to 75 because you can always change it. And let's change the gradient. So let's go back to the gradient tool and let's do some adjusting or create a more polished looking marble. So I selected this node, the center node, and I want to add another one, so I'm gonna click this insert new stop or a new node. Now I want this to be a little more transparent, so I'm gonna make the alpha a little bit lower. There we go. I can just adjust this to make it a little more of the marbly thing. You can adjust your marble whatever you want. I just want to make it look like a little more of a marble. just adjust this a bit. There we go. Now the marble is a little too matte, like it's not shiny. So let's add a shine to it. So let's go back to making a circle. This time we need to make sure that the circle is this white. Okay. The shine can be an ellipse or a circle, but I'm gonna choose a circle because I like the look of it. It seems like the alpha is still white. I'm gonna change that. Alright, now once you made your white circle, let's go back to the fill again and change it to a radial gradient. There we go. Just adjust it wherever you like. Just make sure that the shine doesn't go over the borders of your marble, because once you put it on a background or something, it will look weird. Anyway, our marble looks pretty cute right now. I also want to add a shadow on the bottom to make it look more dimensional. So let's draw another ellipse this time, not a circle. Go to the circle tool and let's make sure that the circle is black. Then let's make this quite flat ellipse right here. All right, right here. Then let's bring this ellipse on the back to make it look like an actual shadow. Now let's change the shadow to something more transparent, because the marble is quite transparent. While the shadow ellipse is selected, click the radial gradient again, but this time go back to the gradient tool, then flip the gradient using this button again. There we go. Okay, let's move this a bit so it looks properly. Now the shadow looks weird, so we're gonna make it a little bit more transparent like the marble, and let's make it 75.2. Always make sure that the shadow somewhat matches the marble so it looks like its actual shadow. While that's selected, let's add a little blur so it's actually like a subtle shadow. Okay, let's increase the blur by clicking here. Let's make it 25 points blurry, and we're done. That is a marble. You can just adjust it a bit however you like. You can change the colors of the marble itself. You could change the swirly in the middle. So that is how you make a marble in Inkscape. So anyways, dudes, I'm Newecreator, and see you later.